In this video, I'm going to be going through a completely in-depth breakdown of every contestant left in the Power of Two and ranking their chances of winning from least likely to most likely. This isn't just my opinion, I'm factoring character arc, screen time, recent episode focus, popularity trends, vote history, writer intention, narrative setup, team dynamics, and how they're used in the one storyline. This video isn't meant to be a comprehensive TPOT winner analysis breakdown. Every character is getting around 3 to 5 minute deep discussion, so by the end of the video you'll have a clear view on the entire system I'm ranking them on. Anyways, let's jump into it. Number 15, I have to go with Bottle. Bottle is unfortunately a character I see with the least likely chance of winning TPOT, and for a few reasons that go deeper than that, she's just unpopular. Bottle is a character whose presence in the game has been much more influenced by her teams than her actual own strength. When you go back through the season, Bottle survived mostly because she was shielded by less popular teammates, and she rarely drew big amounts of attention, good or bad. For example, early on Team S, she had characters like Cloudy, Rocky, and Clock, and most of them were generally less popular than Bottle. She didn't stand out enough to get eliminated, but also she never stood out enough to build serious fandom. Bottle hasn't built any storyline yet in the season either. She hasn't built major connections. She rarely gets serious moments either. And in TPOT, serious moments matters. Characters like Pen, Pencil, Golf Ball, Winner, they get emotional away and that almost converts into votes. Bottle is strictly a comedic character, not a strategic one, not an emotional one, not a narrative one. Even in TPOT 15 to 19, most of her character-focused moments this entire season had just been comedic. She did get a good episode when she did host, and I did like that because Bottle finally got some more recognition and screen time. But I don't know if it's enough to save her character. Another concern is that trajectories. Bottle hasn't been getting enough screen time. She hasn't been deepening relationships. She hasn't advanced the plot in TPOT. She doesn't seem to be building towards a Bottle arc. And she could survive the next elimination, especially if Lai or Tennis Ball get heat again, but her upside is extremely low when you compare it to characters with emotional arcs, strong popularity, plot importance, and being on a popular team. Bottle simply just doesn't fit the typical profile of a finalist, let alone a winner. She's lovable, she's funny, she's a great character, but in the TPOT narrative-driven season, I just can't see how Bottle wins. Number 14, I have Tree. Tree is a fascinating case because he might be one of the only characters in TPOT that's still in who went from extremely popular and extremely consistent to bottom 2 in the last 3 eliminations. And in the early episodes of Tree had a huge fandom. He was super popular, got a lot of votes. He was quirky, grounded, calm, and funny, and his interactions with Mark and Remote Black Hole made him one of the faces of his team and got a lot of screen time in episodes 5, 7, and 8. But after episode 10, Tree started vanishing, and in TPOT, vanishing is dangerous. Tree's popularity fell dramatically once the fan base shifted towards other characters like Pencil, Golf Ball, Fanny, and Pen. Deathpack's screen time also dropped a lot in these last couple episodes, and by the time episode 17 rolled around, Tree landed in the bottom 2 for the 3rd time in a row. Unlike characters like Donut and Lai, Tree doesn't have that writer-driven arc pulling him forward. And what makes Tree's situation sad is that he does have real storyline potential. His empathy and his past friendships, and he's quite mature for a character too, and these traits could have given him more of an emotional arc or a better arc like Pen or Winner have, but the writers just haven't used him, and the fan base has noticed. Tree is barely being present in any of these last episodes, and that defines massive characters within the show, and it's a huge red flag. The biggest thing he's had in these past couple of episodes is that he's turned purple. And when you have a story built around character-driven arcs, especially with this one stuff, and Tree basically has nothing to do with it, he's basically toast. And Tree's best chance at survival would be surviving this next elimination, but I don't know how likely that is. But right now, Tree feels narratively sidelined, and when a character is sidelined for this long, TPOT usually eliminates them sooner rather than later. He's not 100% doomed yet, but his path to the finals seem extremely narrow. Number 13, I have Book. Book might have the strangest trajectory out of any TPOT contestant. She's entered TPOT with one of the worst reputations in the BFDI universe. People hated her because of her art with Taco and BFB, but TPOT slowly fixed that. Book started to rebuild her reputation thanks to the BFDIA revival, her quieter and calmer personality, and her interactions with the price tag, and her occasional comedic timing. But Book's biggest challenge is screen time. She had a solid appearance early on, but never really since then. Since the team swap, her visibility has dropped dramatically. After joining Team 2, she's been overshadowed by Grassy and Snowball's friendship, Price Tag and Yellow Face's friendship, and her not being involved in this one storyline. Book only major scenes since episode 14 have basically been around Pencil, and while their dynamic is interesting, it hasn't really given Book any emotional growth she needs to become a winner contender. Book is in a strange position here. but she hasn't done anything meaningful since the swap, and when TPOT writers intend to keep a character into the game, they give them relationships, emotional beats, growth, spotlight episodes, and connections to the lore of the plot, and Book right now has none of these. If Team 2 gets put up for elimination again, which is very possible, Book is not safe unless the writers suddenly give her a huge episode, and they could easily see Book going home if this doesn't happen. She's stuck in the mid to low danger tier. She isn't the next eliminated guarantee, but her overall winning potential is very limited. Number 12, I have Marker. Marker has always been a fan favorite comedic character. Ever since BFB, people loved him. They loved his unpredictable humor, his energy, his goofy delivery, his dynamic with the tree, and his dynamics with the black hole. He's also survived almost every elimination comfortably, only appearing in the bottom 2 once, and that was all the way back in the first elimination. That shows Marker still has a solid fanbase who supports him, and when needed. So why is he number 12 and not higher? Because comedic characters never win BFDI seasons. The fans overwhelmingly prefer winners with emotional depth, story development, lore involvement, and character growth. Marker is beloved, but he's not a deep character. He doesn't have a storyline, he doesn't have emotional arcs, he doesn't have growing relationships, and he doesn't have a narrative purpose. He's funny, incredibly funny, but he doesn't fit the profile of a TPOT winner. He could absolutely get 6th, 5th, or even 4th place. He's consistent enough, but unless the writers radically shift his character focus, it's almost impossible to see Marker winning the season. On number 11, I have Tennis Ball. Tennis Ball has had one of the most interesting redemption arcs this season. Early in TPOT, Tennis Ball was widely disliked by fans, calling him boring and overly dependent on Golf Ball. And just that and his team dynamic wasn't engaging. Honestly, early Tennis Ball felt like a character coasting through prior appearances rather than earning a spot in the season. But then the team swap happened and suddenly Tennis Ball stepped up and became a leader, a strategist, and a more entertaining presence. His partnership with TV also added more layers to his character with the swap. Tennis Ball isn't just relying on others, he's forming alliances, problem solving, and showing personality. His confidence in team challenges gave him a role that is engaging to watch. He started being a present in key moments and contributed significantly to earn his team's victories. This shift also shows up in the fan votes. Even with some voter fatigue because Tennis Ball is still appearing in BFDIA, he's maintained strong support and he has a history of presence and is now relevant in the show. Tennis Ball's downside is he's still competing against characters with deeper arcs and higher narrative stakes like Pen, Pencil, Donut, and Golf Ball. All are very plot-driven attention, while Tennis Ball is still somewhat a comedic support-oriented character. That said, he should rise in the rankings and the merge gives him more spotlight, especially paired with Golf Ball or if he's involved in one storyline. The key takeaway is Tennis Ball's redemption arc shows that he's capable of climbing the ranks. He's not a top contender yet, but with strategy, humor, and a stronger plot involvement, he could definitely surprise a lot of fans. At number 10, I have Price Tag. Price Tag is a character who has consistently been polarizing. Historically, they have been incredibly popular with fans, often placing high in early season polls, but in TPOT 19 and 20, it's starting to show signs of declining influence. Why? Price Tag has largely stopped driving the story after the team swap. Their interactions have been limited mostly to Book or minor support moments. They had standout moments, for example, the friendship with Yellowface added a dimension to both characters, but then Yellowface got eliminated, so it doesn't really matter. Unlike Pen, Winner, Golf Ball, Price Tag doesn't carry any major arcs to ongoing storylines with Juan or Pencil or other central figures. They're safe for now thanks to their popularity and overall likability, but if TPOT continues prioritizing characters with strong arcs and relationships, Price Tag might be done for. One thing that could save them is versatility. Price Tag is adaptable, they can bounce between comedic moments and more serious scenes, but without consistent focus, they lack that narrative pull that converts to winning potential. Think of Price Tag as a character who's highly appreciated but not built as a winner. They are consistent, reliable, and beloved, just not in a top tier plot driven way, and that normally leads to the victory. On number 9, I have Grassy. Grassy is an interesting case because his value is highly situational. A lot of Grassy's success this season has been kind of tied to Snowball in the early TPOT episodes, so I'm being carried by the popularity and his antics with Snowball. Fans liked him, but it was almost always in a connection with another character. Without Snowball, so many expected Grassy to fall off, but in episode 19, Grassy proved he could shine on his own. Key points in this episode were him being the last one standing on his team, and honestly just having very rootable moments, and Grassy is a very rootable character. However, there are challenges. Grassy hasn't consistently led in arcs, his importance fluctuates with teams, and his focus and story shifts. He may still struggle to maintain votes against massive characters with massive screen presence and emotional depth. If Grassy continues to get featured in major episodes and storylines, however, his trajectory could rival characters like Pencil and Pen. He's currently a dark horse and is underrated with untapped potential. Number 8, I have Lai. Lai is one of the trickiest characters to rank, largely because of the fan perception and writer intention. When she returned, many fans were underwhelmed. She is not the funny, chaotic Lai in BFB, she's quieter and more similar to Pencil in tone. Early on, this made her feel repetitive, and some fans wanted her out. But recent episodes suggest the writers are experimenting with her character. Lai has received a lot of screen time in episodes 17 through 19. She's had major interactions with Pen and developing strong narrative dynamics. This focus shows that the writers want her involved in the ongoing arcs, particularly around emotional growth. Her presence in critical scenes while others fade into the background signals that TPOT is positioning her for potential survival, even if fans may be unpredictable. The biggest risk is Lai has been in the bottom 2 recently, and fan nostalgia might not translate into votes, but the upside is she's actively being written in the storylines, a critical factor in TPOT's voting system. So Lai is a wild card. She has growth potential, team relevance, and narrative focus, but she's still polarizing, which means her path to the finals is harder to predict. Number 7, I have Fanny. Fanny is one of those characters who is dominant in the middle of the season, but has experienced a noticeable dip in recent episodes. At her peak, Fanny was the definition of a central character. She played a major role in Death Pact's arc, navigating challenges alongside Tree, Marker, and Black Hole. She's an instrumental in plot-driving events and is uncovering secrets and strategizing during challenges. Fans loved her because she had depth, relatability, and comedic timing, making her both a fan favorite and a critical player to her team. But episodes through 16 and 19, Fanny's screen time has diminished. She hasn't been central to the major arcs, and that naturally affects her fan vote numbers. Her rankings about her isn't really her popularity at the current moment, but it's a reduced visibility and relevance. Yet, Fanny has a built-in safety net. She has a loyal fan base from earlier episodes. She is versatile, capable of comedic relief, strategic thinking, and emotional depth. There are hints that might return central plots involving Juan and Tennis Ball, which could revitalize her importance. The takeaway is that Fanny's current placement is a bit deceptive. If she's written back into the thick of the action, her ranking could soar up again. She's one of those characters who thrives in the plot engagement, and as long as she's in a plot, her character takes a huge dive in popularity, and she becomes one of the most popular characters when she's in a plot. Number 6, I have Donut. Donut is my personal winner pick, not because I like him, but because he has real potential to thrive in TPOT. Early on, Donut was one of the most underrated characters, probably the most underrated character of Team 8, while Gady and others sometimes overshadowed him. Donut stood quietly out for his versatility and his reliability. He could honestly do anything. He could support other characters without being overshadowed, deliver comedic moments but also handle serious scenes when needed, serve as the glue that holds the team together, especially in Cloud Day, and the tune swap really elevated Donut. He's gaining more screen time and relevance, especially with Golf Ball, Pencil, and new plotlines involving Juan. Donut is incredibly adaptable. He can seamlessly fit into almost any narrative, strategy, or comedy moments in the show. His growing popularity is evident in fan polls, where he surprisingly earned the 3rd most votes on this poll, a testament to both his likability and his untapped potential. His potential risk is if there's no merging, Donut could face elimination pressure since Team Claudia is stacked, but his role as a central support character combined with the growing fan appreciation makes him a strong contender to win. Donut is a quiet powerhouse. He may not dominate every episode, but has everything needed to be a serious winner contender. At number 5, I have Pencil. Pencil's arc this season has been nothing yet but fascinating. Since rejoining, she has gotten more screen time, almost more than any contestant I've ever seen in a season of BFDI, signaling a planned, deliberate narrative push by the writers. Key points about Pencil is that TPOT 19 showcased her unpredictability and her honestly major focus within the storyline. The writers clearly have a long-term plan for her return, even manipulating the re-entry to get her back into the game. Her narrative relevance is significant. She's driving arcs and directly influencing dynamics. The challenge with Pencil is the rejoin fatigue. In viewer voting systems, characters who joined midway through the season struggle to win it because they have that disconnect from their journey. Even though Pencil has had a lot of screen time, it does feel weird making her the winner if she joined midway through the season. Despite this, Pencil remains unpredictable in a way that can work in her favor. If she's positioned in upcoming arcs, she could really survive, but also make it to the final episodes. Pencil is dynamic, multifaceted, and a narrative-heavy character, designed to command attention even if the timing of her return is a little risky. Number 4, I have Pencil. Pencil is currently ranked first in my fan voting, and for a good reason. His character arc has been one of the most important in the season as of the most recent episodes. Early on, Pen was popular but didn't have a lot of development, but starting with TPOT 16, this changed. He displayed emotional depth, particularly in his reactions to race or elimination and his interactions with Lai. He built strong relationships with other central characters, which enhanced his narrative relevance. His growth included both emotional arcs and strategic thinking, making him a well-rounded, relatable contestant. Even with challenges like dealing with Pencil's re-entry or high-stakes eliminations, Pen remains a character to root for. The reason why Pen is so strong is a mix of popularity, development, and screen presence. He fits into multiple storylines without overshadowing anyone, making him more integral to the season's narrative. If Pen's appealed both to longtime fans and newer fans, he's a balanced character and is designed to be likable and rootable, and capable of carrying plotlines forward. Pen's ranking is a reflection of his overall consistency, fan support, and growth potential. He's a legitimate contender to the finale with storylines and an audience backing him up. Number 3, I have Black Hole. Black Hole is an absolute fan favorite and one of the most consistent characters we've seen in the BFDI scene as a whole. He has a safety record. Black Hole has never been in the bottom 2, a huge testament to both his fan loyalty and his engaging presence. His consistency has stayed not even through TPOT, but through BFB, getting the most votes as the fan favorite back in BFB 13. Plot relevant, Black Hole isn't just popular, he's important. He has ongoing arcs with Fanny and is deeply involved with the One storyline, and has high-stakes plot points like trying to fix the whole new universe. Even though he's been stuck in One's room recently after episode 19, these plotlines keep him in a central spot. What makes him strong? His versatility. He can handle comedy, drama, and serious strategic moments. Think of him as a character who can adapt to almost any narrative like Donut, but more serious. Personality depth. Black Hole isn't just fun to watch, he has layers, and his past development adds weight to every move. His potential limitation is, despite fans loving him, I personally think there's a gap between popularity and winning potential. Black Hole isn't a non-traditional character. He isn't flashy or overly dramatic or meme-worthy in the way that tends to a winner in these sort of vote-to-win systems. Fans love him, but they might not actually actively vote for him to win, which could hurt him in a final stretch scenario. Overall, Black Hole is a solid contender. He's safe, he's popular, he's central to the story, but his win potential might be slightly limited compared to other top-tier characters because of this understated nature. Number 2, I have Winner. Winner is another fan-favorite powerhouse and a contender for the finale. What makes Winner so strong is his combination of development, versatility, and narrative centrality. Key points for Winner. 0 bottom 2 appearances. Like Black Hole, Winner has never been close to elimination that consistently builds a strong foundation in his potential victory. Popularity trajectory. Winner's fanbase has been steady and growing with each episode. Winner is getting depth like in storylines with losers and past conflicts with Clock. Storyline flexibility. Winner can fit into almost any plotline, main focus arcs, emotional support, comedy relief, or strategic teamwork, unlike some of these other characters who are niche to plot-specific points. Winner blends in everywhere seamlessly, and his development with Winner has been impressive throughout the season. We've seen their background, personality, and motivations explored more than many other characters, especially compared to other characters like Price Tag who joined at the same time. The writers continue to invest in Winner's characters, showing emotional depth that keeps fans engaged in their storyline. Why Winner is ranked so high? There are a lot of jack-of-all-trades characters in TPOT, but I don't think there's one quite like Winner. Unlike some of these other characters whose arcs peak early and fade like Book, Winner's development continues throughout the season. The takeaway is that Winner both has an audience backing the narrative relevance to be a serious contender for the finale, and they're just all very popular. They're built to carry storylines and influence outcomes, which is critical to a vote-to-save system. And number 1, I have Golf Ball. Golf Ball is my top pick to win TPOT, and here's why. Screen time dominance. Golf Ball's consistently had the most screen time this season, and it has increased since the swap as well. The writers clearly love her character, giving her opportunities to shine with multiple arcs. Fan engagement. Even when Pencils dominated TPOT 19, the votes still came back, and Golf Ball barely got any less votes than Pencil. Her relationships amplify that. With Pencil, a dynamic rivalry that comes with her relationship with Golf Ball. With Donut and TV, they're support characters to Golf Ball, and with Puffball, there's a strong friendship there, and then obviously with Tennis Ball, there's a strong friendship that's been there since season 1. And why Golf Ball I think has the winner mold is her growth and her kind of mirroring Flowers season in BFB. She starts strong and develops meaningful relationships and evolves her personality in ways that's rewarding to fans. She has this plot relevance, this fan appeal, this versatility, the perfect combination for a vote-to-save style competition. There's still untapped potential with her character, even after dominating this far into the season. The writers can continue giving her compelling arcs, keeping her fresh and exciting for the finale. In short, Golf Ball is the complete package. Popularity, development, narrative, relevance, adaptability, all the pieces are there for her to win. And TPOT is making her my number 1 pick because of all these things that are happening throughout the season. But if you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.